This is Paul Guy, and this video is going to be explaining how to get 8088 Domination working in the PCem emulator at, well, I don't know what the URL is, but you can Google it. It's one of those kind of emulator killer sort of demos, and it does work in PCem now, and probably has for a little while, but I haven't seen any videos about getting it working, so I'm just going to go through describing how to get this working. I've already set it up once before, so just to see if it would work. So let's just create a custom configuration. You probably want IBM PC with fairly default settings. I just max out the RAM, it seems to work. You want the CGA, and for the display type you want composite. I don't know if old or new matters. I've chosen old, it seems to work fine. Otherwise, for device you want Sound Blaster 1.5. I'm sure others work, but it's the one that worked for me. For floppy disk drives you want, let's see, how big were these images? You want it, because I know the 1.44 meg don't work. Yeah, you probably want to just default to choosing 360K, and then just turn off floppy disk drive 2. For hard disk, you do want to add a hard disk because these are fairly large files, and I will explain how to get them added. Get the files added to it later. So you do want to create a hard disk. 251 meg is probably fine, so create a file and then just name it something. I already have an image file called something there, so, and yeah, there's that. Alright, and then let's see, mouse, it doesn't really matter, joystick doesn't matter, network doesn't matter. Alright, so first things first is boot it up. For it to kind of show up a little bit of life, and then first thing to do would be to insert the first install disk for DOS 5.0. I've tried 3.3 and it does work, but it's limited to 32 meg partitions, so it's a bit limiting. So this takes a little bit while to boot because it has to test all of this RAM. And I'll probably just edit out these parts. And it would appear that I have made a mistake. Let's see what happened here. It's probably under here, hard disk. Ah, here we go, HDD XTIDE. So let's try this again. And it crashed. So let's try this again. So we got, okay, so there's XTID, 360K. Okay, it seems to have saved everything. And then you just have to wait for it to boot up again. Alright, once it's booted up, you want to hit A. Tell it to boot from the floppy. Now, before you go through the setup process, you actually want to hit F3 to quit setup. Oops. And then run fdisk. Let's see. Or, that's right. It's on one of the other floppies. I believe it's on disk 2. Yep, there it is, fdisk. Let's just try plain fdisk. Alright. Display partition information. Does show current fixed disk drive, so create a partition, create a primary partition. I do want to use the maximum available size. Alright, and then press any key when ready. And I want to put the first disk back in. Press A. Alright, so now I should be able to install. Time doesn't matter. Install to... I have to format it first as well. This seemed to have worked before. Oh. Let's check the machine configuration and see what happened here. Yeah, still listening to XTIDE. Yeah, after doing an fdisk on it, it does not seem to work. So let's try something else. Let's boot the disk 1 of DOS 3.30, because that seemed to have worked at one point. To run fdisk on it and then run fdisk again from the 5.0 disk. Delete DOS partition, delete a primary. Non-DOS. Well, looks like I'll just have to wipe out the partition table on the let's see. Yeah. I should wipe out the partition table, and then let's just Control-Delete to make sure that applies properly. And see if I can try fdisk on that again. Alright, create a DOS partition, create a primary partition. Yes, I would like to use the maximum size. No space. Display partition information. Huh. I might have to actually do a full hard reset on this. See what happens. Try fdisk again. Display partition information. Okay, no partitions defined. Create a DOS partition. Create a primary partition. Yes. System will now restart. Sneak key when ready. Now let's put the DOS 5.0 disk back in. Boot from A. Alright. Exit with F3. Yes. Put disk 2 back in. an F disk on it. And create a partition. We'll first delete the partition that's there. Because we want to actually have it be larger than that. There's no volume label. I am sure. Alright. And create a new DOS partition. Create a primary DOS partition. Yes, I do wish to use the entire size. Yeah. And then put disk 1 back in from A. Alright, let's try this again. And it's still not detecting the hard drives. Well, possibly I might just have to hard reset after having created the partition table, so let's see what happens after I hard reset. Here we go, yeah, so it just needs to be hard reset, so forget all that stuff about partitioning in DOS 3.3. You just need to F-disk it, then do a hard reset, and then it seems to pick it up. So yeah, this is all correct, and it should format the partition. Do not run shell on startup. That's just the silly like file manager thing. Yes, format partition. And then this will take a while. I'll probably edit this out. Alright, so just want to ask you for various disks, just, you know, pick the ones that it asks for, and then press enter. I got these from WinWorld. I'm sure you can just search for that, and in the future maybe they might not be around, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere else if that's the case. Alright, so it's done installing, so let's do what it says and eject the disk and see what happens. And hopefully it boots up into DOS from the hard drive. Alright, so looks like that was successful. Now, there's one more thing that has to be done. In addition to actually just copying the files over, so first we have to do is actually shut it down. So we can mount the file system on our host system. So first things first is as root to use low setup F-P. F will find the first loop device to use, and P will do a part scan to scan the partitions on the image. So it shows we have the one loop device with the, actually no, I have two. The first one must be the original image I have mounted at, is it mounted? It doesn't appear to be mounted, but I actually do have to refer to that as well to remember what I did for autoexec.bat. So just mount it somewhere. Your distribution might mount it automatically for you, so. Alright, so yeah. That's the set blaster line that one has to add based on it might be different for you at some point. On here you can get that information. A220, I7, D1, and then T just refers to an old style sound blaster, 8-bit sound blaster. And so let's unmount that, and then mount our newly formatted one to anywhere, and then edit auto accept that to add the set blaster line. There's A20, I7, D1, T1. And then I mount it. Or no, actually no, not yet. Actually do have to add the files to it first. So let's table and allocate memory. Well, that's a weirdy one. Well, it is mounted read-write. No. I mean, you get the idea. Let's just pretend I was able to write to the file system. I have no idea why that happened. And it shouldn't happen to you because it didn't happen to me before, but let's just attach the old file system. Oh, well, that would be why. I have no idea why it's not the right size. It says it's 2.7 meg. Alrighty, well. Yeah. And let's just start it up. And it should just start up as if I had copied the files to it. Oh, well, that didn't work either. So, let's go through the full install process again on this new image, which should be fine to work with. Again, I have no idea why such a small image was created. Let's see if it'll let me. Yeah. Let me just format the hard disk. System has one or more hard disks with free space. This space needs to be partitioned. Allocate some free space. Allocate all free hard disk space. That did not work. I might just have to use fdisk manually and not let the DOS setup utility figure it out because it doesn't seem to know what it's doing. Or I just don't know how to use it right. Oh, no, here we go. It's just formatting the the disk. I don't know why I had to reboot. Oh, yeah, so it could rescan the, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, now that that's done for the second time, and seems to boot, let's see how much free disk space we have. This does take a little bit, because it does have to count it up. Alright, that looks a lot better. So let's add auto exec to add our set blaster line. Build A220, i7, D1, T1. Alright, save and exit. And then we can just shut it down. Now, I have detached the old files from the loop devices, and let's add the new one, well, technically the old image file back again. And then mount it. And then let's try copying it again. Alright, so let's unmount it. And boot it up, and, well, hopefully it should work. Alright, so now we're booted up. Let's go into the directory where the data is. I don't remember if this is the party version of XDC Play or the more updated version, but it shouldn't matter. Alright. So we just have to run 8088 DOM and see what happens. Let's go into full screen. Oof. And it should just work. The audio is a little jittery. Actually it seems to... okay. What happened here? The escape seems to skip things. Or something, I'm not sure what happened here. Also, I can't seem to get out of full screen. Let's just see if I can just get out of this. Oopsie. Well, let's switch to terminal. That's not what I wanted. No, I'll just kill it in another terminal. See what happens. Just, you know, do better to look at what it says to toggle full screen. Oh boy. Okay. I guess I'll just have to kill it. Because persistent. Alright. So don't do what I did. And not look at the hotkey for full screen, which was Control-Alt-Page down. Which that's intuitive, but yeah, that's it. It shows it works. You can look for the full demo elsewhere on YouTube. And that's it.